Hi team, welcome back. Day 2 for our Java training. We are on the 21st of September. So team, please do note this live training schedule changed. We are now doing it at 5:30 p.m. Pacific instead of 6:30 p.m. Pacific. So we preponed it by an hour. So keep that in mind. So today I listed down a few things that I wanted to get to in our what we want to learn and how we will go about doing it. So I've listed them down. I want to do a quick review of what we did in previous session, a quick question and answer in terms of any technical challenges that you're facing or others to topics so far. Okay. And I have about 3-4 small poll questions that I'll quickly run through everyone. And then we will get into some of the programming level aspects. All right. So day one, we were kind of going through where and what. Please do note, I've put a Skype group, all of you. So this Skype group is important for you to interact and be able to involve into what is happening. So any kind of a communication we will use there. Let me put that quickly into chat for you all. And once again here. And I also have a poll question on this. How many of you have already signed in? In a second, you'll see on your screen, team, a poll question coming up. So can you please click on one of the options? You'll be able to choose using your cell phone if you've joined the Skype group or not. So if you have not, then please use that link on your Skype web account or desktop application, and you should be able to. I've got about 80% of you voted in. I will wait for 3-4 more seconds and then close the polls, please. So if you're still to vote anyone, kindly do it right away. Is anyone having a challenge in clicking on the options? I've observed this as a GoToWebinar issue with some of the members where they're unable to click on it. Just try, please. Skype is for interacting on all your tech questions, code share, quick communication, and so on. Support, quick communication, etc. All right. Sure. I'm currently outside and listening to class, but can't join Skype right away. That's fine. So the links are there in the document. So please use them to join. I'm going to close this poll in and I'm going to quickly share this poll results. So team, only 13% of you have joined. And that's why I see only about 25-30 people in the group. I'm sure there'll be more people joining in. Please join the Skype group. It'll be very helpful for all. I see there was a hand raised. Is there a question that I need to answer right now? Anish, let me know. Okay, good. If there's any question at any point that is relevant to what's happening, please do raise your hand. I'll try and come to you. Let me finish covering what I've done for now, then I'll come to Q&A. All right, so where are we? I'll hide this poll. And there was, so we discussed about that. Live sessions, the timings we changed, we discussed about that. Videos are there in this link, team, all of you again. So copying this link and putting it out in the chat out here. So you can copy these links that I'm putting in the chat, everyone. And please, most importantly, this Google document link itself. So keep that handy. So we're going to do a lot of practice. We spoke about it. We'll try and break down our learning into projects and assignments. That is important. And where do you apply what you learn, team? So there's a long way. Coding right now in Java may not be the end of the coding. You may jump into different technologies. You may be doing hundreds of other different tools and so on across. But the fact that it lay a very good foundation, team, for you. Okay, so take baby steps. Right now, you just need to enjoy this programming. So we spoke about a couple of things. Most importantly, one was installing Java Development Kit, and then the next was Eclipse IDE. Eclipse IDE, I didn't put a link there, so you just do a Google and say Eclipse IDE download. What does IDE stand for, everyone? Can you put that answer in the chat? What does IDE stand for, that acronym? So you've downloaded both, and then we'll go to Eclipse straight away, look at what code we did yesterday, and then go from there. I have not got a single answer. What does IDE stand for? And I keep that team as to who is responding, who is answering. Those are the students I really work along with a lot more. Please be very, very clear in your English and communication about the questions that you ask. I give a lot of emphasis to grammar. What is will the classes will on webinar? Look at your grammar, please correct it. Yes, IDE stands for your integrated development environment. So, or environment. So why is it, why are we calling it an IDE? Because instead of running my code in through command prompt and looking at my Java programs in this way, which is very lackluster, doesn't give me any kind of an assistance, to looking at it with much more clarity. There are colors there, the fonts you can change, the line numbers to it. It'll help you with running, execution, displaying results, everything in one platform. That is why it's an integrated development environment. Okay, very good for your answers, team. Now, next thing, what did we do? Most importantly, when we open up our Eclipse, you start with File, New Project. By the end of the training, we would have created about 3 to like 10, 12 projects, each of them with different code and experiments in it. So I'm just saying P2, I'll leave everything as default, say next. Actually, I can say finish also. I could have done it there. I don't need a modules in it, teams, don't create. Anything additional than the basic simple components, I don't want you to explore too much. Why? Because you will be so deep into expanding in that rather than getting the main fundamental concept. Okay, so stick to the basics. Don't try and do explosive things at the beginning. Now in this project, if you kind of expand the tree, you will see this JRE system library again and SRC. In SRC is where we will start putting a Java code. Okay, now this looks the same. In fact, when we do this, you will see a new folder getting created in your local machine. But let us say I do not remember where that folder is. How would I go? On Eclipse, what I'm going to do, anyone having audio issues, team? Because I got one question. Let me know if anyone else has an audio issue. So on Eclipse, what I can do, I can right click on the project and say show in. Do you see this feature? And please, team, while we are doing the live session, very importantly, no practice or playing on the code during live unless asked for. So as I'm writing, I don't want you to go and start writing right away. Watch the video and or refer your notes and then write the code your way. I will not share the code files daily. I will share it only once every 4-5 days. That way you must be repeating whatever we did in the class. I don't care, you no more, no less. All right, exactly that much. And we're doing no copy paste of code. I want you to get more and more experience in writing Java programs like we do a simple Word document. Okay, so you have to perform all of these steps that I've mentioned right at the beginning, team, downloading and setting up. Now back to our Eclipse. So right click on P2 and say show in. So just observe what I'm doing. System Explorer. So it basically opens up your Windows System Explorer and shows you where the project is. See, this is what we created under training, Java for Kids SEP. And I have P1, P2, some tests here. And if I go to P2, there is the regular folder structure. This is what Eclipse gives us. So right now my SRC is blank. So how do I create a simple Java program? I'll say right click new and say comment. I'll say 01 underscore comments. We'll talk a little bit about comments here, team. I gave underscore. Ting ting. Oh, it doesn't. J01 Java 01 underscore comments. The reason I want to maintain it with this kind of a structure, team, so it's all alphabetically there, almost in that same thing. The reason it had an issue is I cannot have a code starting with a number. That is a restriction for it. So the name of the class that we give or the program that we're creating should have an alphabet. So I put J for Java and then 01 underscore comments. I will check this main method. This is the most important block for a Java program. Anything in the main method gets executed. Now, what are comments? When I write something that Eclipse slash Java does not understand, it throws what error, team? What error does it throw? Yesterday we spoke about it. There are two types of errors, a syntax error and a runtime error. Syntax error happens even before you're running the program, saying that it can't even, saying that, there's something wrong with it right away. You won't be able to do anything with that. It has an error in it. It won't run the program. So it says it is a syntax error because it cannot understand what to do. Runtime error is the one where we execute a program, during that there's an issue. And we'll talk about those also right now. We'll go through this set of codes too. So this basically says that if I need, then write our English notes or anything that Java should not execute as comments. So basically you have to put 2 forward slashes, team, and that line becomes a comment, and another 2 forward slashes. For this it becomes a comment. Now it is an acceptable thing and there is no more errors anywhere. So this level of viewing on Eclipse IDE to see where my code is correct and so on is also very beautiful for a integrated development environment. You have to get that assistance from it. So it says that, hey, you're able to do something correct or not. Now I may have multi-lines, team. Multi-lines are where I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and I all want all of this to be commented. So for this, you basically start with a slash star at the beginning and a star forward slash at the end. And it'll take all of these as a block comment or multi-lines. Okay, so anything I want to write as notes in my program, I'm going to use the comments going forward. Let's look at this my Java 1.java. What did we do? Simple hello to coding, and we are printing this how many times? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. System.out.println gives whatever you give inside the double quotes out here for us. How do you know? Now that I've said, and you would have tried the program, you may know. Too many programs open, and I also see some console with old code, so I'll clear this console by clicking on the text, and let's close all the programs first, team. So that way, let's open one by one. So my Java1.java, hello to coding. So if I execute it, what should happen? 5 print statements. I want you to keep thinking about what will come out even before executing. I don't want you to try and write a code 10 times, let it fail, correct one thing, then correct other. No. Think through the whole program. Slowly, I'm going to be working with you on this now. Second one, same thing, but I'm just printing hyphens out here. And I'm trying to print something that looks like a square, definitely very from a display or UI user interface perspective, it does not. But there's the fact that, hey, I can run it and it goes on with displaying a shape. Something that I introduced towards the end of the class was a for loop. Ignore it for now, we're going to come to it. But basically what it does, it gives me a control. So if I say 150, in this case as a number, it will print this 150 times. So here, let us say instead of hyphens, I put some stars, okay, all the way. And just run this code now. Save it and run it. So that's the difference. But it will do what you want, team. That is the power of a programming language. You give it an instruction, it will follow that. Okay, I have how many more additional? I think 4 additional. And the beauty is that whenever you are doing, it is immediately responding to any change. You can make quick corrections, changes, and make it easier. This is another thing that keeps coming up, team, on your Eclipse IDE. If you started to practice, it's a save and launch. Whenever you make a change to your program, you got to save that program and then run the latest version, correct? So in that case, you have to save it. If I check this box, it'll always save it before it launches. When we say launch, it is nothing but another word for running the program. Okay. Now, what is my table 2? So this was something that we were starting to explore, where I'm putting a 2 table here, very hard coded, but let's see what it does. And it printed out, but I need to actually calculate and put it. So it is all put by myself manually. A little bit more improvised version is here. We will come to this logic later. But now I can say for, let us say 7 or a number like 9, what is the multiplication table of 9 20 times or 30 times? Or let's put 50 times and try and run this now. So 9 times 50, 450, starting from 9 times 1 is 9. So it can behave like a very, very simple calculator for you, all the way to building some amazing applications, team. That is the power of a programming language. And Java is one of the supreme ones in the market. Okay, now this is what we did. I'm not expecting you to be proficient on for loop yet, just as an instance to show you in the first session. We're going to go through them. Any questions from anyone so far? Plus, does anyone have any access, not access issues, sorry. You want to show me a progress on your screen? Let me know. Here is the time. Or we can take a break in about 25-30 minutes to take another set of questions after covering a few topics. Let me know, please, questions you have. And meanwhile, while you're thinking of any questions, let me see. Location, team. I just was in a hurry, so I didn't enter too many countries here. Apologize to that. I just gave a poll question on your screen, team. Which country are you currently based in? I just wanted to know the time zones and who is be able to attend from where. Yeah, The video for the record session from the previous one, I put it up in front, go.itlearn.com/p/java for kids. Did you find it? Or I can send it across. Okay, sorry, I think I've got all the votes in. And that's the challenge, team. No one has joined from India. So I'm closing these polls and I'm sharing because of the timing. And that's where I think the communication was also not there. I apologize to them. Let me see what we can do about it. Okay, I'm going to hide this. And I have one more poll question, team. I'm not sure how many of you attended the first session. If you have not attended, then you can ignore it. But if you've attended, please let me know. This is day 2. This is the second session. You're welcome, Madhavi. All right, I've kind of closed that poll. Sorry, I should have actually kept it longer, but um, I'm losing time, team. So thank you for participating. Here it is on the screen. So most of you did like it, but there's about quarter percentage, I mean quarter in sense, quarter of you, 25% or more, who said it's a little fast. I'll try and go a little bit more organized this session. It wouldn't be that fast, okay? All right. So now this is what we want to do today, team. So we want to talk about a lot of things. We want to talk about comments, single line, multi-line. I did that. Let's talk about constants, variables, and program memory usage. So one of the great things that Java does is to be able to store information. Okay. Any programming language will have this, team. Java is very, very effective at it. So I'll say this is about variables, main method. I'll need that. And here. So this is auto-generated. You can remove that and say discuss on variables and how data is stored. Okay. There are different types of variables, team. But primarily when you look at, oops, what did I open? Paint, please. There is two things, team, that I basically think of at the very starting. One is a text, okay? The other is a number. These are two types of information that we store. Look at it as your cell phone, smartphone. When you talk about a first name or a last name or an email address, now, email address can contain dots and at the rates and numbers also and underscores. So that is also fine, but still it would come under text. Okay. And then there are numbers like zeros, ones, 2.5, minus 10,000, and it could be all the way to a billion. So there are numbers with decimals, there are positive numbers, there are negative numbers, and so on. So when Java gets into the action, it talks a lot about memory management in the sense, if I go and open up my current species scan, so basically right click and go to your task manager And out here, you're looking that, sorry, you're looking at the fact that there are certain things that are happening, right? Each of them are occupying memory spaces, team. So your Eclipse is occupying memory space. When you're running a very large, complicated Java program that is not very well written, let us say, it will slow down your machine also because it is occupying the maximum amount. So for you to be aware that memory management is critical, is very critical, is important, team. So how it is done overall? It tries to be very efficient at it. So when to assign and then delete and so on. So it wants to keep removing variables or putting. And what is the right size? When I say right size, let us say you have a round pipe. You cannot put that into a square hole like this, right? It has to be smaller into it. So it has to be the right fit, team. So that is where it says numbers, then tell me if it is an integer or a short or a long or a float or a double, where it has different sizes to store data. Think of it as different size boxes. We are starting with two types right now, strings and integers. So the first one, let's talk about strings. So a string can be something like f name equals, let us say, Karthik, all right? And f last name or email equals kk at varkasa.com. Now, one of the most important things for Java is to tell it what is the type of a variable. Declare the type of a variable so it can allocate the right memory needed for it. Okay, depending on what we're putting on it. Then you can initialize the variable. And then you can use the variable. Okay, so this is how it is. Very simple concept. Think of it like a phone number, team. So you put a name, you put a number to it. Whenever you want to call your friend, you do not always have to remember the number. You just know the name, you search by the name and say call or text, and then you're done. So it makes it easy for me. And when I say F name, see, it is also relatively easy as a human for me to understand, okay, maybe you talk at first name and maybe we're talking about email, F email. No, I'll say user email. And let us say user age, and I'll say 43. Okay. Now see, the first and foremost thing that I was talking about is declaration. To say type of data. How can I do that? I can do that by saying string f name, and that's done. I should also declare the other variables u email, comma u age. You can declare any number of variables on the same line. So you can do it this way, or you can do all three in one line and so on. Our call, team. Okay. Now, do you notice as we go about doing it, there are certain errors that are emerging? We need to be very smart on debugging, team. Is basically taking out defects from our own code, not just syntax or runtime error. Sometimes even can also be output is incorrect. You're asking it to add two numbers, what it gives you a division of it. No syntax error, no runtime error, but it'll give you a different output. So that could be also an issue. Now you need to first fix your syntax issues. What is the issue on line 13? So this is how you should get into an investigative mode, everyone. Give it your time, give it patience, sit down on it. all that it wants is to give, for us as humans who are smart enough, to give a stupid tool like Java, give it instructions, then it will do its job. So the issue is I cannot redefine or redeclare a variable once it is declared. So I cannot do that. Cannot declare again. So it's like, why you're declaring with the same name? Is it an error that you're doing? That is the issue. So I've commented it. So comments is not just for multi lines of blocks. Okay, if I say int, for example, here, I'll say, let's say I want to print a statement. Oops. So system.out.println, we'll talk about those two also, team, is here. What am I saying? Hello. And then, are you all with me, team? I'm going too fast. I just speak a little fast sometimes, but I do slow down when it is essential. So let us say these are the three, right, executing lines. So it says there's a error in the project because this J02 underscore variables is an issue, but my comments is not an issue, so I'll go ahead and run it. Okay, so I have 3 lines of code. If I don't want any single line of code being executed, I comment that line of code. It's not just that we do English lines, we also do for code itself. Then, right, we can also comment code instead of deleting. So future, we can come back and see we wrote a code, this was the change, so we agree, okay, this is good. So as a team, you can make some progress on it. All right, let me give a quick gap and see if there are any take questions or anything. Yes, so what I mean, you're right, Lakshmi, that declaration names must be unique. So going back here, I cannot again declare an F name or email or age. The names are only one. Okay, so they cannot repeat again. Now here, there is no problem. What am I doing here, team? Initializing. Okay, and I'm putting values into it. We can always change later. Hence, they are called as variables. Constants are something you don't want to change. That's the basic difference, team. Now here, what is the issue with you email? The format for declaring a string is always to put it in double quotes. You cannot do any other way. Okay, so strings must be in double quotes. Now, what can I put within it? Any data or text is fine. There is no limitation to what you can put within it. Okay, so how can I fix line 18 now? By putting a double quote at the beginning and at the end. And if you notice, team, I've consistently been using this semicolon. Why is the semicolon essential? Let's write it here. In Java, represents an end of a command line or a step. So when you break it down into different steps, team. So our whole purpose of Java programming is to break it down into each step. And right now, if you look at my table 2, I have 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 main steps of things that are running here, right? So this is how we talk about putting data in there. Now, in this case, you have to use a semicolon to end with it. If you don't leave a semicolon, it does not know that the step ended. It is okay to get it into the same line and declare, not a problem at all. But there is some other issue here, team. Just check what is the issue. The issue is this here. How can we change this to a string now? Like I said, anytime put it into double quote. Then it'll consider everything to be a string. So save this. Now there is went away team. There is was still showing, but now they went away. Third, you can use them. How can I use them? Print it. And I can print just fname or along with some other text. My email is plus kk at varkasa.com. So, sorry, this is the value at you email. All right. And let's say so age is plus you age. Now let's try and run this program. Are you all getting the concepts, team? Very simple that we're talking about. And this plus sign here is something called as a concatenation. Plus on strings works as a concatenation. Concatenation or appending slash joining them together, merging them together. So into one final larger string. That is what it does. Okay, so now are we ready to run this program? Yes or no, everyone? Are we ready to run this program? Yes or no? Why are we not ready? There is one error. Correct. Very good. And we have to keep our eyes focused, team. So take your mouse over line 22 and it says that there's an issue. And team, lot of times I'm not taking my mouse over it because it'll give me suggestions. When I'm working, I'll take it over. But I want you to learn and put why maybe it is in your mind first. Then you can take the help of Eclipse. Okay. The main problem is your U email is defined as U email. Same thing, but E is uppercase here and E is lowercase here. What does it mean? Java is case sensitive. So it gives importance to upper and lower cases. That is what Java is doing. Now, that is the discipline you have to follow, everyone. Irrespective of it, make sure if you're putting an uppercase, then you continue that. Now let's change it. It was also suggested. See here, I take my mouse over it. It says change to you email. So I can click on it. It would make that suggestion too. But please don't do that, team. Think of it. Try to change it yourself and then see if it works. Now save. Will it work? Will it now give what we want? Yes or no? Will it give what we want? Yes or no? Okay, perfect. Let's run this. And here is where get into an investigative mode. Did it give me what I wanted? Yes or no now, everyone? What do you think? Did it give you what we wanted? Yes or no? We try to write a program and we're trying to run it. You're all correct. So there is a error in the code. See now, it is not a syntax error. It is not a runtime error, but this is actually an output error. The output did not give me what it wanted. So what does it mean? There's something wrong in which line number, team? Which line number do you think the error originated from? 21 is incorrect. Your name came fine. My email is came fine. Age is plus you age I got. I didn't get the age itself. So it is 23 team. Okay. And see, do you see a small yellow highlight on line 12, everyone? Do you see a small yellow highlight on line 12 out here? Why do you think it is come up? Remember, there are three things that we need to do. You declare a variable, you initialize it, and you use it. Now, Java is telling you that you've declared UH, but you've not used it anywhere. You have not used that anywhere. So why is it a problem for Java? It is saying it is useless to write a code and not use a variable because you lose the efficiency of the program. So what does it want you to do? Either delete it or keep it. That's your call. But it's not a problem. It is not an error. It is just a warning. It's just giving us an information. Okay. So it is okay to keep it like this. But the problem is here. The culprit is line 23. Because these double quotes are very strong and powerful, everyone. Oops, sorry. They basically will start to put whatever is in it as is. It will not care about anything as a variable name within it. So UH here does not mean anything. Just like I saying F name here, like this. It will print the value itself. If I want the value of the variable, then I have to say age is end of double quotes. This becomes one string plus, which is used to join two strings, UH. There's an extra double quote, remove it. Now let us run it. So I got this, perfect. Now let us say I don't need couple of lines, they were incorrect, so comment it. Don't have to always delete your lines. Till your team reviews, everyone is in sync, you retain it. Okay, so that's basically becomes how you put variable strings. So this, let's say, so say I already named it as J02 variables, correct everyone? I want to now rename it to J002 underscore variables underscore strings, something like that. Let me try. 1 second, meanwhile. Ramesh, do you have a question? Your hand was up. Ramesh, do you have a question? Your hand was up. I don't think so. So let me put your hand down. If you read anything, let me know, please. All right. Anyone else having questions can raise your hand, team. Charita, did you raise your hand? I unmuted you. If you have a question, you can unmute at your end.
By
Hello?
mistake,
Okay, no problem. Not a problem at all. Okay, let me put the hand down and let's continue. So I want to rename this team. Already it is renamed here. So right click on it and say refactor. So the subtle difference between refactor and rename is changing the file name in one place. Okay. Refactor is wherever this file is being integratedly used, it'll also change that names there. So in your project, if anywhere they're using J02 variables, it'll change it. So refactor, rename, and say this is underscore strings and finish. Done. Now let's create something at that same speed. Now see how we increase speed each time as we go through. J03 underscore variables and integers. I'm not getting into decimals yet, team. Simple integers. Finish. Anything complex we did so far? I don't think so, right? So in integers, let us start with something we are comfortable with. I'll say there's a string called S1 equals hi there. Now see, declaration, initialization, done, sorry, done in the same line. So you will see that Java, as you get more and more into it, has certain shortcuts or ways for us to do the same things a little bit more efficiently. So I'll keep exposing you to them as well, everyone. Now this one was good. And then if I want to print and I'll say how many times I write the code, it'll automatically become better. String is plus S1. Okay. And run this code. Lot of codes being coming up. So let's change this. Close all. Just open up this. I see another hand raised. Let me see if someone has a question. Cheryl? Hello. Do you have a question? Okay, no.
Yeah,
Yes, no?
I do.
Go ahead, please.
Um, should I? How do I add a console?
Can you be a little louder for me?
Okay. How do I add console? To run my code.
Oh, you cannot see this console here, you're saying?
No, I can't
Is
see
that
it.
the question? Okay, good. So if you go to your window and go to perspective or actually show view, you'll see console there. Or try these keywords. Did that work?
It works.
I can't hear you. I'm sorry. You're too far away from the mic.
It works now.
It works? Okay, perfect. All right, great. So basically what happens, there's so many things that we keep wanting to access, and sometimes we may accidentally close these, okay, and it disappears. It's either there out here, or you can always go to window, perspective, not perspective, show view, and console. So, and what I do is instead of keeping it as an overlay, I can just drag it to the bottom and resize it to a little smaller one. Okay. All right. Integers holds numbers. No decimals. Can be positive or negative. Is that correct, everyone? That is what integers are. Now, how do we do integers in Java? I can say int num1 comma num2. All right. And then I can say int num3. Now just see how simple things can be. Can anyone tell me why is there a yellow line on line 11? Sorry, that yellow underline on line 11 and 12? Why did it come again? What could that possible warning or information be? Num1 equals 10, num2 equals 20, num3 equals 30. All right. The reason it came is it was earlier. If I just control X and cut it, take my mouse, or it'll say it was not initialized or put any value. Why are you wasting memory? That is the whole point. You don't have to read every line of code that is coming up in this pop-up stream. That will be too much for us. Just put now the value still not done. Why? It wants us to print something. I will say num1 plus num2 equals, what is the value? So I have to have a new integer. I'll say total 1 equals num1 plus num2. I'm just adding these numbers as simple as it can be and say this is total 1. Now, can anyone tell me why possibly there is an error on line 19, everyone? Why do you think there is an error on line 19? You're right, Rujula. No SV. Right, Madhavi. Tot1 is not declared is also not correct. That's right, Sujata, Ality, Rashid. Very nice. Yes, we're missing the concatenation that we just learned in the previous few minutes ago. So keep your knowledge a fresh, team. That way we are using everything. Now I see that the only thing that is not used is number 3, and that's fine for now. I'll just say total. Okay, now this is basically doing a simple math thing for me, team. It is adding couple of numbers and giving me values. Very nice. Now, the other important thing that I want to introduce you to about the variables concept is an if statement. Why is an if statement important, or if condition? Okay, write our code. Use the tabs nicely. Keep your code very intact, team. Okay, so if statement. Now, let us say I have two variables, int x comma y, and I'll put those values here. X equals 34, y equals 43, and I'll say z equals, I don't have value for z, but I can now do something called as conditions, as decide what to do based on a certain criteria being true or a false. Very similar to a coin toss, but based on specific logic. So there's no chance in it. Okay. So what do I mean? Things like as simple as, I actually like to share these paints, but I'm forgetting to. What are we talking about? Oh, conditions, right. So it's very simple, team. Programming is always about trying to go from A to B. It's not just a physical travel, but trying to achieve something. Either you want to print a multiplication table, or you want to create a complete application like a Facebook or a gaming app, blah, blah, blah. You have certain goals and that you want to achieve. So you go across these steps, mini steps in between, or hurdles. Now, what happens in any of game designs or anything, you may have a condition which says if it is not true, basically it is false. If a condition is not true, do an alternate route. Just exactly like you want to go physically from a place A to B. You're going through one route, your freeway is blocked, you want to take a surface, or your surface is blocked, you have to take some other straight roads or blah, 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 check your app. But you have a condition that is met. In that situation, we take a decision. So we teach programming to take a decision at specific point. And for that, we use a if statement. One of the most important blocks of any programming language is an if statement. Now, all that it does is if I say if x equals y, and I'll tell you why I require this double equals to, then I will print x and y are the same, else, look at this beauty of this. I will print X and Y are different. Now, when the program comes to the line 15, you will notice that it has a condition here now. Why am I using two equal to signs? The reason being that when I use a single equal to, it takes the value on the right and puts it to the value on the left. So I'm not trying to put y value into x. I'm trying to compare and see if it works or not. All right. So what is the issue on line 4? Obviously, z is not initialized or used. So we're wasting memory, but that's fine. But do note, we waste memory only during the program that starts and ends. The life of x, y, and z started on line 4 and it ends on line 15. That's the end of it. There's no more life of x, y, and z. All memory gone again, erased from the memory of a system also. All right, let's run this now. What do we get? And it says x and y are different. What does it mean? Now, if the same statement, I say if x is less than y, and there are multiple ways to do this more effectively, team. I'll show you, but let's look at simple things. X is less than. We'll keep coming to if statements very, very often, team. But just to give you a simple synopsis of it. Now that I can do this, we can do a few specific things now. Okay. All right. Now look at this. How many if statements are there in this program? Can someone tell me, please? How many if statements are there in this program? Very nice answer. That is 3, correct. So we have one if here. How do I know? Start of a block, end of that block. Automatically a cursor shows an Eclipse ID. Where is the end? Then there is a concept called else. So when we do this, it is either running line 11 or line 13. In this case, it will choose to line 17 or not. In this case, it will choose to run line 21 or not. There are nested if statements, team. Let's not get into that complex ones yet. Just get the basic of it. Now we're going to do something called as a debug run, everyone. Please note this. This debug run helps me to navigate and understand how my code works. So let's go to line 4, right click and say toggle breakpoint. You all see that? And once I put a breakpoint in here and hit my debug mode, I know I'm introducing a few things, team, but that is how slowly we will learn a few new concepts every day and we'll keep repeating them. Okay. And I definitely want you to practice based on what we're doing. Now here is a debug mode. Within debug, there are complex ways to try and identify what is the issue or how your program is flowing. Okay. When I say program flowing, I mean like this. This is one direction. This is another direction. Okay. So you need to know which way it's going. So right now we're using debug only to see what happens with our if statement for that reason. I put a breakpoint there. If I hit a regular run, it will run the entire code. It will not stop for me. So see, it only printed x and y are different and x is less than y. It wouldn't print x is greater than y. Now let us say if I put this as 53 and run this. Okay, x and y are different. X is greater than y. Say it is each time changing based on my inputs. That's my output. Now, when I hit and run, it will go and run the entire thing, team. If you want your breakpoint to hit, we will hit on this debug. When I do this, it will come to a halt when it sees that the execution has hit line 4. Think of it like a stop sign that we notice in our traffic team. So when we're driving, if we see a stop sign, we have to stop all the way, come to a 0 miles per hour in a speedometer, watch that it is safe to proceed, and then go forward. This is exactly what it does in our programs team. Now it basically is telling me that let us change the perspective. If I say switch the perspective, it will give me a few more frames and other things team. So let us say switch. From my perspective, it is a lot right now. Let us not use this switch too much of the perspective. Let us stay with the main perspective and still achieve what we want. Stop this. Let's do a debug run again. So click on the Java perspective. See, this went to debug perspective. Now this is my original Java perspective. Again, debug run. This time we will not switch the perspective. So it will stay the same. My debug console, everything is coming here. Let's put them here. Okay, so console also should go. There you go. Now see, at this point, my program is ready for stopping the wholly or continuing completely from there, or take one step at a time. Okay, so if I take my mouse over here, you'll see there's nothing there. Okay, X, Y, or Z. But if once I do step into, it has come down team to next line 10. This is a blank line. These three are comments. This is a blank line. So that is the next executable one. If I take my mouse over X team, it will show me the current value of X. And if I take my mouse over Y, it will show me the current value of Y. And I'm only going one step at a time. So that is why it is easy for me to see where I'm going. So again, I'm going to do step into. That is what we're trying to do right now. Okay, when I say step into, it'll see if these are the same ones. Okay, and it has skipped line 11 team. Did you notice? And also this blue arrow on line 13 and gone straight because this is not true. So don't execute this, execute the else part. That's fine. Now print this. So this is basically trying to execute the print method itself. Now step into again. And this did not execute it because X is no longer less than Y. Step into again. This is correct. So it is greater and it primarily gives us that data. So all done, and that's what we got as an output. So it's opening up a few more additional inbuilt classes team for printing and so on. We can ignore that. All right, so we had an hour of a good lecture. What I wanted to do, I think we've covered a few of them, which is good. I wanted to talk about printing all odd or even numbers. Can we try and do this? And I also want to find if a number is odd or even. First, we're going to print all odd or even numbers less than a given number, let us say. So how would we do that, team? Shall I create assignment 01 underscore print odd even numbers? Let's try. Now see, for me, most important thing, team, is the logic. Okay. Logic, once it is clear in English, then we can get into coding. Coding is pretty easy, but how to do, what to do, let us prepare on that. Let us talk about even numbers. So what are even numbers for us? Numbers that, let us say, start with 0, 2, 4, 6, and so on. What does it mean? What is the pattern here that we are seeing, team? 1, it is divisible by 2, or incremented by 2 each time. Correct? Do you think I'm right about it, or is there a better definition, please? Team, are you with me? Anyone sleepy? Almost there. I want you to all practice on this, team, and show me the code on your machines tomorrow, whatever we're doing. Hello? So I'll say int a, so you can give any name that you want. And I'll say the value is 0. So how do I print this? So I'll say a, okay. Then what if I say a plus 2? Now look here, team. The same plus sign plus on strings, sorry, on numbers works as an addition. Okay. So this is important, team. So now what are we saying? If I write like this, a sample code, a plus 2, a plus 4, and so on. Now it will work. Correct, everyone? Maybe. But how many is it printing? Error. Okay, let me see what the error is. Oh, I don't need all this. Why did it come? So 0, 2, 4. But how many will I write, team? Isn't it very ineffective for me? And that is where we require to use a loop, team. Okay. J05 underscore for loop. Like the word says, it loops through a specific set of code. Loops through any code a certain number of times. So you have to say how many times it has to loop through. And the syntax, we call the syntax, team, for writing a for loop is like this. For an if statement, how was it? Open brackets, write the condition, close bracket. Whatever is inside the brackets is called your condition. Now here, again open brackets. There are 3 parts in a for loop, team. First, I have to say where does my count start from? That's the first portion. Okay. Second, how far will it go? What is the range? You want it to go till which number? So I'll say I is less than 1000, for example. So that is my range that I'm giving. Okay. Next, I have to give increments and say I equals I plus equals I plus 1. Now these 3 become the components for a for loop. Sorry, where is my I? For int I equals to 0. So this is what it is. Declaring a variable I and giving it a initial value. Then giving it a condition as to go to print till what extent. And then all I do is print that statement and say I is plus I. Okay. Now look at this, team. Plus on string and integer works as appending or concatenation again. Okay. Now in this case, look at it. This portion, because it is in double quotes, it is a string. This portion is a variable. Where is it declared? Here. I can also declare it outside, but it's declared here. Let's quickly run this. Let's see. How many of you are finding that we're going and covering too much advanced already? I'm just trying to do the basic ones, team, so it's easy. Now, the same thing I can do a little bit more differently. You can say int j, for example, and I can say for j, because it's already declared, equals 0, j is less than 20,000, for example, and j plus plus. Now j plus plus is a shortcut for j equals j plus 1. Instead of writing that entire thing, you can say j plus plus and printing the same. And here I'm gonna say, oopsie. Why is it a problem here? Can anyone tell me on line 14? Why is there a problem on line 14, anyone? What could have gone wrong there? So, and that is the reason I try and emphasize on, thinking our answers before we go for a solution. It should be J, that is correct. Hey, do you have a question? Arman? I guess no, okay. Cheryl, your hand is still raised. Just check, please. Ramesh, do you have a question? Ramesh? Okay. Team, please be careful if you're raising the hand, unless you have a question. Okay. Now the problem is very simple, team. I is declared here, and it is only possible to use it within this block, this curl brackets. Out here again, I is not visible for it. So it cannot be used. That is the life and death of I within this loop. And the new variable here is j, that is born. We're working with that. So j is plus j. And let's run it once again. And it doesn't take too long to be able to perform such large transactions, team. Its processing speed is very, very powerful as a programming language. Okay. So that's primarily how we have done a simple for loop. How do we apply it for odd numbers? So my logic will be, I'll say for int, I can give any name, team. Okay, I'll say k is equal to 0. That's my starting. Sorry, int k equals to 0. K less than, let's say 1000. And this time, I want to increment it by 2 each time, team. So I'll say k equals, instead of k plus 1, I'll say k plus 2. And primarily, I'm going to print and say k is plus k. Now let's run this. So if you take any of these numbers, they will follow the pattern, because once I started with 0 and I started adding 2 to it, it will obviously stick to that instruction. Now then, how about odd numbers? Okay. What is the difference? Can someone suggest me how we could do odd numbers with a very simple change? I'm sorry. Turn k equals to, very nice answers, team. Lakshmi, Dia, Varsha, Rujula. And we will talk about a more efficient way in tomorrow's session, team. So someone is asking me what would happen if I say k equals -2. Now look at this, team, okay? And what happens is it goes into an infinite loop. Value of k will never reach 1,000, and that's the problem. So it'll keep on printing because we are subtracting. From 0, we're going the other way. And you only have one way to terminate by manually hitting this red button. That is how you can do. So if you do a k -2, it is going in the other way from your target. You'll never reach your target. So here, like everyone said, the easiest one is let's start with k equals to 1 this time. I'm sorry, team, I keep getting a little cough sometimes. And now look at it here, team, what we are doing. I'm again using the same variable as k. Why? Because k was used here and it expired. It's done. Its life of the variable is over. I can use the same name again because there's no specific k anymore left. So I can repeat to use the same name. And now it should kind of give me the top 1,000 or 500 even and odd numbers. There we go. All of these are odd. Now, how do we know if a number is odd or not, or even? And let's explore that tomorrow, team. And that will help us to get a little bit into the understanding how we can build a Fibonacci sequence and what it means as well. Great. Any questions, please, anyone? We have about 3-4 minutes for the Q&A. I'm sorry if the reminders came in late for everyone. I also did a big poll at the beginning. Didn't get a chance to have all of you participate in it. Yes, running notes, what I've created are there in this document. So the Google Doc is there. All of these are shared with you, team. I put it in the chat again. And please make sure you're all part of the Skype group. That will help me to interact more effectively with you. All right, team. Thank you. Yes, tomorrow same time, 5:30 p.m. Pacific, and we'll see you there. I put that Google Doc link in the Skype group. Sorry, in the GoToWebinar. Check your chat there. Varsha, please. Thank you, everyone. Bye for now.